All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this ETF Sector Spotlight. As usual, Christian Tharp, Chartered Market Technician and Chief Technical Analyst at WealthPop. I am obviously also the editor and analyst for our Smart Trades Options ETF trading service. So, as usual, let's go ahead and hop into the sector breakdown for Thursday. Obviously, very big day in the market. As I'm sure you know, inflation went away overnight. Banks are completely fine, and everybody in America has a job. Just kidding. All right, so no matter what, as little sense as some rallies make, just like some sell-offs, doesn't change the fact that it is, right? S&P up nearly 2%. The NASDAQ been outperforming this entire week, up closer to the 3% mark. A little bit given back towards the end of the day, but as you can see at the top, tech, services, no real surprise if you looked at your watch list and it looked anything like mine and others. Big names. We'll see that here in a second. Having some pretty nice days. Semiconductors and such really outperforming. On the downside, you see utilities, real estate staples, healthcare, energy bounced back a little bit, but we think oil and or energy stocks probably have a ways to go on the downside. But all in all, pretty impressive day in the market, and kind of look over at the days it was. Obviously, again, the big names in particular. If you look at the NASDAQ 100 versus the composite, the 100 really outperforming. So it can be somewhat of a concern, a little bit of a fly in the ointment, if you will, that, and we'll look at this in a moment, the Dow, the S&P, the Russell, the broader market's not really taking part in this rally to the extent the NASDAQ, and to a greater extent the NASDAQ 100, but still a nice green day. Semis really crushing it. Let's take a look. Great thing about some of these moves, Microsoft moving above 275 should lead to higher prices. Apple getting back above the 155 mark should lead to a run to 157.5. Google closing just a hair above the 100 mark. So it's just a lot of great moves. Surprisingly, Tesla didn't really do a whole lot. But again, across the board, looking pretty sharp here. Now, let's go over to the ETFs, and the one we'll draw you to over here. You look at the stocks, right? The semiconductor. I mean, what can you say? Pretty nice day, extending into NVIDIA and AMD and all those have some pretty good days. The only thing really in the red for the most part is inverse ETFs. Gold took a little bit of a breather, but it's been on fire. Bonds, the bond ETF here was actually up pretty nicely until the market took off later in the day. So real quick, let's take a look at the market itself and kind of give everybody an idea of what we're looking at here. And here's your NASDAQ 100, pretty nice looking, sure looks like a pretty nice bull flag here. Tested 1, 2, 3 different times on the top, 1, 2, 3 different times on the bottom, very well defined. Not only did we break out of it today, but we also took out the 12.5, maybe not the greatest mark in the world, but it is something. And seem to be headed back up to this area, maybe around 12,750 up in this area, but overall 13,000. The pattern itself implies, much further run, but notice the difference. You have the NASDAQ 100 here, not too far away. Looks like maybe you need maybe 200-300 more points and you're there. So a little over 2%, but check out some of the other indexes. Look how far back the S&P is, a full 200 points away from that 42, 250 points away from getting back up to its high. Look at the Russell from 2000 nearly to 1700 and still below 1800. So a lot of lag there, and it doesn't look much different when you look at the Dow. On the surface, nice rally, yesterday's reversal. So we'll see if this kind of corrects itself. But for now, you'd have to be worried about the overall health of the market if only the NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 are kind of leading the show. We'd like to see everybody kind of take part here. And again, a lot of the big names are the ones doing the heavy lifting. So we're seeing the NASDAQ 100 perform very well, better than anybody else. NASDAQ composite, you can even see, is a decent ways back, but still better than the Russell and the Dow and the S&P. So we'll see where this goes. Overall, when you look at the market, we look at the S&P here, was this a false breakout above the bear market resistance, or is this a false breakdown? Time will tell, but right now it definitely looks like higher. Looks like we have some juice in us, at least to finish out the week, maybe even into the FOMC next week. and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. All right. So until then, everybody, good luck in your trading.